All right. It is 7:10 on a Friday morning. I hope everybody's doing wonderful today. I know it's kind of cool outside. They're expecting maybe a little bit of snow or ice on Sunday, so be very careful. I'll be ready for this rain to happen to get rid of all of the cedar in the air because that cedar is killing me. So if it's been high for the past, I think 3 or 4 days now, it's horrible. All right, so day 5, we are on the first week. Y'all have gotten through the first week. Congratulations. We are going to be talking about hiring and training. Now, you know what, Mr. Banks, you know what? I never showed you where all these PowerPoints are, and I'm going to show you right now. Let me stop sharing this screen. And for anybody that does not know where the PowerPoints are located, I will show you. Share my other screen. What is that? Screen 2. All right, so you're going to be going onto the portal or the dashboard. And if you go all the way down where it says, you know, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, this is where I'm going to click on day 4. You're going to click on day 4. Oh, why isn't there the video? Interesting. I don't know why. Hold on. All right, well, let me do day 3 because I have a video. So anytime the video is going to be located right where day 3 is, and then or wherever the day is, and then right underneath it, that's the link to get to the PowerPoint. So if anybody needs where the video, and I don't know why the video is not showing up. Hold on. Let me just put that video there while I'm sitting here. Is that day 4? All right, and there's the video of the next day 4 class sitting right there, and then you have the PowerPoint. So anytime you need the video or the PowerPoint for any of the classes, it's going to be in the day that it is. Okay, so the only day that I did not video and I forgot to is day 2. So there is no video for day 2, but day 1, day 3, day 4, and day 5, and going on. I just forgot to hit record on day 2. So now let me stop sharing this real quick so I can see all your faces. All right, now the one thing I want to make sure is let's say you're absent today, or let's say someone is absent, and you want to get credit for today. So let's say this weekend you're absent today. This weekend you get on the portal, you watch the video, and you email me saying, "Hey, chef, I watched the video," and then I will give you attendance. I will go and email the attendance clerk to give you attendance for that day and give you a grade for that day. You're not going to get 100%, you know, you're going to get like a 90%, like or 95%, like everybody else. But at least you're not going to, you know, you're not going to get a 0. So if you are absent or if you need to go somewhere or do something, you know, don't hesitate to get onto the portal or onto the dashboard or whatever you want to call it, and watch the video, because it'll be there, and then you potentially could get not miss any days, even though you might have missed a few days here or there. Does that make sense to everybody? So just, if you want to watch the video, or if you need to get any information, it's always there, okay, except day 2. So going back to my screen that I'm going to share. Okay, so day 2 or day 5. All right, so hiring and training. We talked about, like, resumes, and we talked about job listings, and why those job listings are so important, because that you're trying to get the right applicants, right? And now we're going to be talking about the hiring process, and then the training. So importance of hiring a job, or importance of a job description, resume, and cover letter, and salary. That's kind of a recap from yesterday. We talked about job descriptions. We talked about resumes. In that video of at the very beginning of class, that guy was talking about how he never really, excuse me, never really looks at resumes anymore, and for the restaurant, yes. For other jobs, like if you're looking for like executive chef job or whatever else, they still look at resumes for that. So you always need a good resume. Cover letter, that just kind of gives you tells your intent, what you intend, what you want to do. And then salaries, again, like that lady was saying in the video, and all of that, you sometimes the salaries are not discussed until the very end, but it can be a deal breaker, depending on if they lowball you or highball you, or lowball you on that deal. But anyway, right now we're gonna watch a quick video.
Whoa, Susan.
Oh, I'm looking for coupon codes.
Well, Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes.
Make me some cheddar.
Capital One Shopping. What's in your world?
Noma. It's a place people recognize for being named the best restaurant in the world 4 times. The original Noma opened in Copenhagen 15 years ago, surprising guests with its inventive offerings, like dishes disguised as herb pods and careful displays of roasted bone marrow with edible flowers. Chef Rene Redzepi built meals from nature using seasonal ingredients found in the Nordic region. Style is now called New Nordic cuisine. It has granted Noma 2 Michelin stars and has put Copenhagen's food scene on the map. In 2010, Noma was voted #1 restaurant in the world by Restaurant Magazine. And then again in 2011, and 2012, and 2014. 2 other restaurants have taken the title in 2015 and 2016. All the while, though, Noma has hovered near the top. But not too long ago, Chef Rene Redzepi shut everything down. And this latest move could give them back the title. Noma closed at the end of 2016 before opening its new space in February 2018, roughly a mile from the original location. It's received visits from foodies around the world and A-list celebrities like Justin Timberlake.
It's different 15 years in. People expect more. I mean, they expect to have maybe their meal of a lifetime, and an experience as well on top of that.
Why would a chef risk his profitable business to start all over?
I was getting a bit annoyed with how we were working. I felt the routine has was sort of stifling us. And we should probably be looking for a new place that could use.
The new location seats 42 people, each seat costing 2,250 kroner, or about $340 US. But the biggest change is in what everyone comes to taste: the restaurant's 3 seasonal menus: vegetable-based in the summer, seafood-based in the winter, and meat-based in the fall. Each dish is thought out carefully and focused on local ingredients found in the Nordic region.
In the very beginning, we just sort of have a brainstorm, okay, what could be fun to have on this menu? And then we just start attacking it. So we always have at least a couple of weeks where we're not actually putting things on a plate and trying to make dishes, so where we just sort of investigate all these crazy ideas that we have.
Some of those ideas include the celeriac and truffle shawarma and rose-scented cake resembling a small herb pie. The team hopes the seasonal menus will encourage guests to visit Noma more often. But they'll have to wait another year to see if it will make the best restaurant list again.
In a restaurant like this, it's about the everyday. It's about finding the balance between creativity, production, hard work, low pay, family, ingredients, suppliers. It's a network of a lot of things happening. And sometimes people recognize it in an extraordinary way, and you get to be changed forever, like our restaurant did when we first became #1. But I still truly, wholeheartedly believe if you go to work with only that thing in mind, you won't last long in this trade.
As for whether starting over was worth it, despite taking some pretty big risks along the way,
of the 15 years we've been open, this is the moment where we have the most requests. Well, I stopped counting, actually, but probably in the thousands every day of people waiting for a table.
so it's been good for business. But it's done even more to motivate Renee and his team.
I don't know how I can explain it, except that it's like a hunger. I feel like I just can't stand still. You know that when you sometimes you hear a song, you see a movie, or something that makes you want to do something and change your life or do something. I feel like that almost all the time.
I I think first of all, when you're talking about hiring and training, I mean that right there, you know, to be voted the best restaurant and with the, you know, training, the training that you have to have to with your staff in your front of the house and your back of the house staff is pretty amazing to be able to get those you know, voted because they look for everything, and the food is part of it, but also just the service, the staff, all of that. It is a well-oiled machine, and that's why I wanted you to show you that video, because it shows how if you work as a good team and there's good training involved, you can do it no matter what. It's just that training is so important. And there are these things called SOPs, standard operating procedures, and you'll hear this you know, term quite a bit. You know, do you have any SOPs? What is the standard operating procedure for this, whatever it is? So we're going to be talking about standard operating procedure. So I'm going to stand up and talk because I've got the hiccups. Whether you're starting a new business or trying to improve your existing one, the most important thing is getting and having standard operating procedures. And when I talk about that, like how a standard operating procedure is a step-by-step process on how to do a specific task, if you will. For example, like cooking a steak. You need to pull the meat out of the fridge or out of your drawer, a little early so it'll warm up. Then you have your grill on. You have you need to season your meat. You need to do this, or a standard operating procedure on how to make a cake, or how to mix a drink, or how to clock in and clock out, how to, do many things, a step-by-step directions on how to instruct someone to do this, and so where it's going to be consistent across the board. So where it's not going to, one day it's going to be one way, and then next way it's going to be a different way. And with standardized operating procedures, everything, just like the very first word, it's standardized. So we want things to be standardized and not to change. And that's why, an SOP is so important. In making sure that your employees know all the standard operating procedures on how to, I don't know, for example, how to clean a fryer. Anybody ever cleaned a fryer before, a deep fat fryer before? If you have never, you need, if someone says, hey, you need to clean a deep fat fryer, you need a standard operating procedure, how to do it, what to do, right? If you don't have that, you're just going to go, I don't know. You can YouTube it or whatever else, but the issue is that that's part of quote unquote training and making sure that your business is staying standardized, right? Because one reason why McDonald's got so popular back in the days is because of a hamburger in Texas, Austin, Texas, is going to taste the same as in Wyoming or wherever else, right? So where it's standardized, so people people are wanting that standardization and making sure that standardization on making a hamburger look the same, and how to prepare it, all of that sort of thing. So very, very important. And there's hundreds of what I would call standardized operating procedures in a restaurant or in a business. How to make a deposit. Has anybody ever had to deposit money? How standard operating procedure on making a deposit. I, by goodness, want to make sure that whoever is depositing my cash or the money at the end of the night, there should be a standardized procedure how to do it, because I don't want any sort of problems, when they're doing it. But it keeps good quality. The function is to make sure that you get good quality of, good quality product, good quality training, good, that it's going to be done properly every single time, that your workers are going to carry out the procedures and they're going to do the proper procedures that need to happen to keep it standardized, and to make sure that the company is maintaining the standards. So you as an employee, or you as a boss, or what have you, you are making sure that the standards are met, right? And these are the standard operating procedures, or standards for this business to keep working. Okay. For an SOP, you want to kind of breaks it down a little bit. Let's see, you're going to, existing or new, why is it needed? What is the objective? This is kind of how you kind of figure out in review and make sure that your standard operating procedures are followed correctly and they're laid out properly and that people understand it. Am I sharing my screen? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm now very nervous that I'm not sharing my screen from yesterday. So And please speak up if I'm talking. I should be having something on the screen. So if it's not, let me know. This is kind of just kind of a little thing showing you how the proper way of kind of understanding the SOP. Okay. The standard operating procedures basically, you know, I think it does a lot of things. It protects the it helps protect the process, or it helps get you the process going, so you know what are your risks, what are your, you know, what are all the things that kind of could happen or need to happen. It protects the worker also. It helps you know, make sure that the worker understands that, you know, I mean, a standard operating procedure. Has anybody ever seen you know, how to lift? You shouldn't lift with your back. You should lift with your legs or whatever else. And the standard that's a standard operating procedure of how to lift a heavy box or whatever else. Because if not, I could have injuries. I could have you know, people could get hurt, whatever else. Or, you know, I mean, I always see these, you know, I don't know. I love to kind of watch kind of little videos of like accidents, like you know, a forklift driver, you know, dumping all their stuff off, you know, or falling out of a truck or whatever else when they're caught on the job, kind of accidents, you know, and you can see that some of these procedures are not being processed. You know, they're not following those procedures, making sure that they wear a hard hat, making sure that they, you know, clean out the grease pit properly, or whatever else. There's so many things that this helps protect. It helps protect the customer as well. You know, a standard operating procedure for me is, if you have a Band-Aid on your finger, you've got to have a glove. You know, I require a glove. If you ever have a Band-Aid on your hand, you have to have a glove, not a finger cot, not one of those little, looks like a little, I don't know, a small little condom. It's called a finger cot, but because it rolls off your finger very easily, it helps protect the customers from foreign objects. If I get my employees to wear gloves instead of having, you know, a standard operating procedure on how to clean a toilet, you know, I mean, how to mop a floor, how to, you know, how to mop a kitchen, a true kitchen, like a commercial kitchen, compared to mopping at home. Mopping at home is completely different, and mopping in a kitchen, you got to have the hottest water, and you've got to have good degreaser, because if not, you're just going to make that floor slipperier and slipperier and all of that. You don't want soap, because that helps kind of create suds, and that doesn't, makes it slipperier. So making sure that you get those customers, because there was I mean, this happened to my wife. What was it, Mother's Day of last year? We were at Chewy's we went to Chewy's at Cedar Park area, because my mother-in-law and father-in-law live up there. And so we were there. One of the employees spilt some grease in kind of close to the bathroom area. And my wife had high heels on, and she was walking into the bathroom. She slipped, fell, you know, bruised up her leg, all of that. And the problem was the person that cleaned it up didn't follow their standard operating procedures on how to clean up greasy floor. And that in turn made my wife, you know, have to go, you know, I mean, we had to go to the doctor. She got bruised. She kind of hit her tooth, kind of cracked her tooth. So they had to pay for some stuff, you know, some medical bills, all of that. So if that person would have followed that standard operating procedures on how to clean grease off of a floor properly, they wouldn't have ever had to deal with that. So it helps protect customers as well. You know, and you know, how to clean a toilet, how to clean, you know, a sink, you know, or how to wash dishes in a commercial kitchen. It's completely different. It's a 3-compartment sink. You got degreaser, or you got soapy water, you have rinse water, and then you have a iodine or some sort of you know, sanitizer of sorts. You know, and if you've never washed dishes before in a commercial kitchen, you don't know how to do it, and you don't know how long you should keep it in the sanitizer. Should sit in there for 30 seconds, or it depends on what kind of sanitizer it is. So there are so many procedures and so many things you need to know. And this is just kind of and sometimes they have a standard operating procedure booklet for your station. Has anybody ever seen a station, like a station book, or a standard operating procedure for your book, for your station? Like if you're doing the grill station, what is your procedures, opening, closing, how to prepare your station, all of that, how to organize your station? If there's a little booklet, or you know, I know like hotels, you know, at hotels, like even the people that are cleaning, the housekeepers, sorry, the housekeeping staff, they have a book on how to make a bed properly, how to make the bed that whatever company wants, how they want to make it, how to clean a room, how, you know, I've read, you know, when I was helping with hotels, I do, you know, kind of other little kind of side jobs, and that's to help kind of make some of these. And you know, you know, some standard operating procedures is basically you just need to know what you need to kind of put down is so much information, so where that employee knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and so where it'll be consistent every single time. And that is so important, because people come back for consistency. You know, I want the room cleaned properly, not, you know, especially now with COVID, there have been changes. There are companies that are wanting to change their standard operating procedures and all of that on how to clean a kitchen now. You know, I mean, we as chefs at Le Cordon or at Escoffier, you know, we have to, you know, especially if you're, you know, kind of in the hybrid classes, you know, we have to fog our kitchens. We've got different cleaning duties now, different cleaning things. So that's helped to protect you and us at the same time. So these standard operating procedures are so important. I cannot stress that enough. Either if you're a business, a hotel, food truck, restaurant, catering company, SOPs, no matter what, you're going to need them. You know, I mean, it's basically, look at this picture right here. You know, you got nuclear, you've got a tornado, you've got, you know, a hurricane, you know, whatever else. These are all things, what I would call standard operating procedures are just what if, you know, we didn't have some of these standard operating procedures back at you know, just think about 9/11, you know, what changes has happened in the process of being in a large building now, in New York or whatever else. The standard operating procedures on evacuations are completely different, and it's changed. And why I'm saying it is this, sometimes it's a living document. You might need to check it and recheck and change with the times, because I did prior to 2020, before 2020, we didn't know anything about, you know, 6 feet distance, did we? I didn't. I didn't know nothing about the 6 feet distance and all of that. So in now companies are requiring face mask or whatever else. Those are standard operating procedures now, and they are now part of ingrained into the culture of your business. And that is so important. So where you have to readdress some of these standard operating procedures and change it and manipulate it every once in a while and make sure it is, you know, doing, you know, right, and you know that you're doing the standard operating procedures correctly and consistently. So you have to reevaluate and evaluate all of this. It can be written word, it could be pictures, it could be many different, whatever it takes to get someone to get to be consistent and to be able to do it, you know, properly, no matter what. You know, that's just it. You know, and you need to, let's see, once it's written down, okay, so once it's written down, it needs to be checked, it needs to be, you know, tested, and if it's not working, okay, go back, adjust it, and redo it again. But this is something that, it's so important because if okay, it's the restaurant standards. You are writing down the restaurant or your business standards. So where this is what, if you are not at the restaurant, this is what they look at to make sure that it gets done properly. For example, has anybody, you know, gone to, you know, let's talk about purchasing. I'll talk about purchasing real quick. When anybody ever went to HEB or Randall's or any sort of grocery store and bought strawberries in a plastic container before, you know, and you know, there's probably one or two bad strawberries in there, or you need to look at them. And what I did was I took a photo for my employees and I made a photo book of exactly what I expect when coming in the door. Like, what kind of strawberries do I accept and what strawberries do I reject? Because if I don't show my employees and in my staff exactly what I want, I had a picture of a strawberry that was kind of white on the top and kind of red down below, or kind of not so ripe. It was kind of an unripe, you know, strawberry. I put a line, you know, put a circle around it and put a thing, said, no, I don't want that. I want, you know, I want something bright red, no dirt. I had a picture of a dirty one. I said, reject that one. I had a picture of a nice bright green one or a bright red one. That's what I wanted. And so my standards were kept every single time, as long as my employees watched and looked at that, my standard operating procedure booklets or my book or whatever. And maybe they don't need to look at that. Maybe it's ingrained in their head now. So, you know, because it only takes a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to form what I call a habit. You know, or to create a habit. So, you know, as long as they have been doing it for at least 2 to 3 weeks, they're creating a habit, and that habit is going to be, you know, be consistent, and they're going to be more consistent every single time. And also that helps me as like standardized recipes. And this is part of a standardized recipe, is the SOPs, standard operating procedure on cooking, right? So I want to make sure that my employees know to follow these recipes, because if they start adding their own stuff, oh, I want to do this and put this in there and do this, well, you're just changing the price of my product, right? Because you're adding product into it without even costing it out. So you're costing me money, or you're costing the restaurant money, and you're maybe someone is coming in only for that one dish that they like, and then it's not consistent, and I'm going to lose a customer. The minute I lose a customer is the minute I start losing money, right? Because I can't, I need money, I need money coming in. So if I lose someone because I'm not being consistent in my cooking or in my cleanliness on how to clean a silverware, who's been at a restaurant that has dirty silverware before? You know, I mean, I know I have. It shows me that they're not the operation. There's a failure somewhere. Someone is something between picking it up from the dish from the tables and going to the dish pit and getting them cleaned. There's some sort of, maybe they're not spraying it off as good. Maybe my hot water is not, or my water pressure is not as good. So where I'm not spraying off all the the nastiness off of the forks or whatever else in the spoons. So I might need to readdress my operating procedure, and that also helps me identify other problems. Maybe my water pressure is low. And they're following the standard operating procedures, but my water pressure is low, so where they're not able to get all the junk off of the silverware. So it helps me identify problems and to help fix those problems. Does everybody kind of understand when about the SOPs and how important they are? You want to, and again, this class, I kind of beat this dead horse, so you're going to hear about SOPs quite a bit. So, so let's see. You want to review. This is kind of how to deal with the SOP. You want to review. You want to identify. You want to create the recipes. You want to emergency evacuation. You want to train the back of the house employees. You want to train the front of the house employees on specific dishes. You know, all of these things. These are all examples of trying to, for examples of SOPs or what needs to get done. Now, so I'm kind of done with the SOP. Any questions on SOPs or any of that sort of stuff? All right. Do we need a break? Do y'all want to? Y'all need a 5-minute break? 5-10-minute break? No, y'all good. All right. All right. So let's talk about hiring. And there's standardized operating procedures when it comes to hiring as well. In most companies there are. If choosing from hiring outside the company, you can use, job boards, help wanted signs, word of mouth, you name it. Those are the kinds of things that can help. And that's kind of old school. The word of mouth is really good. Help wanted signs are very old school type of deal. But most of the time it's, glass, some sort of media online aspect, Poached, Glassdoor, LinkedIn. There's a few other ones out there, but those are ways. But remember, like that guy was saying in that video yesterday, and I think it's yesterday or the day before, I cannot remember which day it was, but it was the day when he was talking about, trying to hire from within and kind of go and bring everybody up and then hire, someone was going to get into a management position, then they brought it up there, and then they eventually hired outside just a bartender. So where then that bartender can kind of move up the ranks and do the same thing. So where that also helps with consistency when it comes to my business, because that bartender is going to move up and they're going to learn all of the jobs and it just a little more consistent. So just, when you have a chance, sometimes it is best to hire from within, but sometimes it is difficult just because of maybe people might not respect the other person in the management role or whatever else, or they're too many friends or whatever else. But anyway, but that's it. Management team will decide on who to hire. Yeah, you know, and when I say, when it says management team, you know, I also bring in my staff, because I as a, let's say I'm the manager, I might not be with this person as much as the staff would. You know, and if I'm at whole, and this was, and I don't know if this still happens, but prior to Amazon buying Whole Foods, you know, Whole Foods used to, they would, to hire, like, for example, like, let's say in the meat and seafood department that I was in charge of for a while, you know, to hire new staff members in the meat and seafood department, what I would do is I would hire somebody, and then about a month later, the team members that I had in my team actually voted to decide if they wanted that new team member in that position. So it's the peers were deciding if that person was qualified for that position, or if they wanted them in that position. So because again, it's all about teamwork, and it's all about a family, and it's all about that chemistry, because a kitchen is all about chemistry and trying to work together and making sure that the chemistry is right, because we've all probably been in a job with people that the chemistry is not right, and it sours it, and it's very difficult, and you know, then you have a lot of other issues involved with that. So, you know, sometimes management, yes, is always going to be the one that's kind of dealing with it, but I always do try to get at least a couple of my workers that are actually going to be working with that individual in with the interviewing process, or have a group interview, you know, have a few employees and myself and maybe HR or whatever else sitting in the interview, so where they can ask questions themselves too, because they deserve some, you know, my employees are going to be, affects them. This hire is going to affect them. So it's important that we do that as well. Hiring process, find support for a restaurant. Let's see, define the best places for your candidate. Okay, hiring procedures. Okay, these are some procedures right here, you know, to help, you know, help you identify, you know, hiring process, right? Define the best place to find a candidate. You know, what is the best place to find a candidate nowadays? Where is it? You know, I love word of mouth. I will always call up, you know, if I was hiring, I was calling up a bunch of chefs that I know that run other restaurants and say, hey, do you have anybody that, you know, is leaving, or anybody, you know, do you know anybody that is looking for a good job or a job, whatever else? I think word of mouth is awesome, because word of mouth is also kind of a deal where I know if I say, you know, someone, if I go like, you know, if I say, okay, this person is really good, I'm not going to tell somebody that, you know, give them a half-ass person, right? I'm not going to give them a person, or tell them a person that is going to screw them over, or hopefully not, because then it burns my bridge with them. So, but word of mouth is important. But providing, making sure that, you know, we review the job. What are the qualifications? What are the things let's identify some special traits that we want this person to have. You know, this person that we're going to hire, what kind of traits do we want? Do we want someone that's really focused in on speed or organization, or what is it that we really want to focus in on? And be ready to provide training. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. You need to spend time training your employees. There is one thing that will make a restaurant fail, and that is the lack of training. Having a wait staff that doesn't know the menu is just absolutely insane. I would, if I would, make sure that my employees knew the menu, had tasted the food. If they have never tasted the food, why the hell they can't sell it, right? They can't sell it. So making sure that we train them properly. We train the employee how to cook the food, cook it the way we want to cook it, right? Because y'all are in, pastries and all of that. I could only imagine there's multiple ways to get to point A to point B. There's multiple ways of getting there. You can go this way, you can go this way, you can do this, you can do this to get to it. But training is so important. I mean, who's been in a job, that didn't get good training? I mean, I know I have. At training in whatever job it is, how to clean a fryer, or because that fryer is hot. I've seen people get completely hurt. Sorry guys. Like burned, third degree burns, because of trying to clean a fryer and not cleaning it properly. So, training is so important. Let's take a 10-minute break. All right. Let's come back at 8:10. Everybody good with that? Cool.
Yes.
Heard, Chef.
Heard, Chef.
All right, we're going to talk about interview. Okay, so hiring bios. You know, okay, so here are some these are types of kind of a hiring process. So halo effect, and we're gonna we're just gonna go over some of these. Someone read these for me? What are these? Go ahead, please.
Overconfident effect, halo effect, similarity attraction effect, cloning, confirmation bias, illusory correlation.
Yes, you got it. So we're going to kind of go over these one by one. And overconfident effect, that's the effect that when someone subject, thinks they're obviously overconfident. And for example, when a person is overconfident that trusting their gut instinct led them in a good hiring process. So, overconfidence, sometimes you can be a little overconfident when it comes to, the hiring process. I'm got a gut feeling or whatever else. And you need to make sure these are some biases that you need to kind of make sure you don't get into, because if you're too overconfident when you're hiring or interview, it could really cause problems. The halo effect, you never want someone read what the halo effect is. Yeah, go for it, please.
The halo effect. The halo effect is when one trait of a person or thing is used to make an overall judgment of that person or thing.
Okay, so someone try to tell me what that means in your own words. What does halo effect to mean to you in your own words after reading that? Anybody?
I have something.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so basically, I would think that the halo effect is when you're in an interview, the interviewer basically only notices one trait. So if you are, let's say, good at professional at interactions and talking to people and are very personable, they only see that. They don't see other skills that you may need to work on.
Exactly. Thank you. That's a great, they're only looking at what I call wall-eyed, right? They're only looking at one thing, right? So that is very true. Thank you. Let's see, the cloning effect. Okay, you don't want to hire someone that's just like you, right? So someone read what the cloning effect, bias effect is. And if you want to keep reading, that's fine. Just keeping me from having to talk as much right now.
All right. The cloning bias effect. A company that employs many individuals who have similar traits and personalities may suffer from the cloning effect. The effect occurs when a hiring manager unconsciously hires job candidates who have a personality very similar to his own.
Yep. And that right there is sometimes you don't want a mini, what you call a mini me, because sometimes you really don't. That's not going to be good for the company and for your business and for your team. Hold on one second. I've got to turn off my heater. It's killing me in here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, Mike. I am sitting right above me is the heating vent or the air vent, and it just was blowing hot air right in and it was stifling me. Sorry. So so yeah, cloning effect. You don't want a mini me. That really causes problems. Could cause problems. So try to avoid hiring a mini me. Who wants to read this one? Or if you would like to read the next one, please do so.
I got it, Chef.
Thank you.
Confirmation bias effect. This bias occurs when people favor information that confirms their beliefs and ignores or discounts disconfirming information. Confirmation bias is one of the reasons why hiring managers are inconsistent in the interview questions they ask across candidates. By asking questions that confirm their pre-existing beliefs about each candidate, this often results in a process of comparing apples to oranges.
For sure, and I can't stress that enough. I mean, that's also belief and fact and all of that, and we're kind of seeing that in the world right now, because what people believe and what the facts are sometimes is jaded and is not correct. So, and you see that you're seeing that right now, and you're seeing that, you know, just in the industry. So you need to kind of try to avoid that sort of confirmation. And could you read this last slide for me?
I'll do it.
Thank you. You're just giving me a talking break for a second.
No worries, Chef. Confirmation bias effect. The descriptions are identical except for the order, which changes how first impressions form. This is a confirmation of a bias.
Can you read that little bit? She is.
Yeah. She is intelligent, industrious, impulsive, critical, stubborn, envious. She is envious, stubborn, critical, impulsive, industrious, intelligent.
Okay, so that's a confirmation bias. That really kind of one of those things. And the last one, could you read that, or one of y'all read this one?
Yeah.
And then I'll take over after this.
Yes. Illusory correlation effect. This is the tendency to perceive a relationship between people, events, or behaviors even when no such relationships exist. Illusory correlation is the reason why hiring managers ask interview questions such as, "What kitchen utensil would you be?" These types of questions are believed to provide insight into a candidate's personality, even though there is no evidence that they actually predict job performance.
Okay, so, you know, and that's kind of what that effect is. Excuse me, reducing the effects of hiring biases. And actually, why don't you read this last one for me?
Sure thing.
Thanks.
The evidence shows that trusting your intuition doesn't lead to better hiring results. So, what can you do to counteract hiring bias? Although it's impossible to completely eliminate the effects of hiring bias, the best tools we have to help include using database candidate screening methods such as AI for recruiting and a well-designed, structured interview process.
Thank you. So what all of this is saying, and thank y'all both for reading. It just gave me a few minutes to rest my voice. What all of this means is try to not have any biases, right? Not try, and again, that is so difficult because you know, I mean, you know, it's like you know, you need to go in kind of blind a little bit, but you know, but you use these tools that they're talking about right here, the AI, the databases, all of that, so you can kind of narrow down your candidates, and so where you're not using your own biases, your own things. You know, you need to look at what's best for the team and not best for you, and what you think, because again, like I say and y'all have never had me in a brand new like a cooking class, but I always start off saying, as a professional chef and as a professional cook, no one, absolutely no one cares how you like the food. No one does. No one cares how, if you, no one cares how you like your food, and the reason why I say that is because of, when people are, when I'm tasting their food, I say, oh, it's too salty. They tell me, oh, I use a lot of salt. It's again, no one cares what you like anymore. You're cooking as a professional and you're cooking for other people's, and you need to understand that you know you're what you think sometimes doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but you need to kind of not have these biases and these barriers to avoid from hiring somebody that maybe is a little different than what you normally do. But if you try to kind of not have those biases, you do get, I think, a better workforce and a better team, because people are a little different, and and with the differences, with everybody's differences, it tends to kind of mesh even more, because if they're too alike, you're butting up against each other. If you've got so many biases, it really causes a great turmoil in the kitchen. And it's got, and unfortunately, a kitchen, you all have to work together, and that's just it. I mean, if you're working the pastry station, no one cares if you are slow. No one cares if you're fast. What we care about is the food gets to the customer on time, and no one cares about your biases and all of that sort of stuff. So hiring, when you hire, you need to not have those biases, and not try to look at the person, not all the bullshit around, the superfluous bullshit, that we get involved with, or that we get caught up in. Skills. You must know, you need to make sure you give your employees the potential and the skills to live up to their potential, type of thing. And so and that is part of the hiring process, and training is getting that person to get the skills and to be successful. And do I have any people that have waited tables before on here? Anybody that's been a waiter or waitress?
Yes,
No?
chef.
Yes. Okay. And can I ask, were you like trained how to like take a plate away from a customer, or I mean, a lot of times, you learn that on the job, right? You learn, they typically, especially now, they don't train you how to remove the plate, or did they?
No,
Did
they trained me.
Did they? That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
one of
some
my
places.
trainer was training me. She trained me how to basically remove a plate from a table, put plates on the table, pour wine for someone. I'm sorry, Chef.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and I'm so glad, because there is quite a few restaurants that I've been around that kind of that kind of sink or swim. You do it or you don't kind of a deal, and that if you hire a seasoned waiter or waitress, right? If I even hire someone that has done it before, I still need to train them. And that's one thing that happens, that people go, oh, they've worked at they've done it, they know how to do it. But do they know how to do it to my standards, to our standards? And that's why the training on the SOPs are so important, to make sure that, like, so Victoria, she got that training, so where that restaurant she was holding up that restaurant standards on how to pour a wine glass, how much wine you pour in a wine glass. You never pour it to the very top, you know, type of deal. So there are things that you do that need to be trained, and even though that you might have done it in another facility or another business, you might have not ever done it with me or at this business that I'm at. And so I want to make sure I train you. Training the restaurant staff, start with the orientation for sure. Create basically a training plan. You want to, basically guide and observe. You want to do some training. You want to train the staff and with the latest technology, and do you know how hard it is to it is expensive to do training, to sit down, to shut down a restaurant, or maybe not to shut it down, but to bring in my staff when they're day off. I've got to pay, I'm either I'm going to have to pay my employees to come in on their day off to get training. I'm going to have to feed them. I'm going to have to make sure I have all the training material. I'm going to have to hire a trainer if I'm not the trainer. I've got to make sure I then, follow up. So that there's a lot of expense and a lot of time that goes into training and making sure that your employees, get trained properly. If not, then the business is not going to run smoothly, no matter how much you do and what you do. Because has anybody ever played and this is the one downside. The one downside to our industry is we do a lot of what I call kind of on the job training, like you're shadowing somebody. If I was working a grill station, I would probably, if I got hired to be the person, or when I got hired to be a grill guy, one of the places I worked at, I shadowed somebody. So I sat and watched this person for maybe a day or two, usually a day. It's usually a day or two, no more than, it wasn't longer than a week for sure. But I would kind of watch them. But the question I have is did that other employee, did the employee that is training me, did they get the training, the proper training? Because sometimes you have a person, especially if it's like this person is moving up to a different station or they're quitting and I'm taking over. Well, they might be doing a half-assed job. They're maybe they're not telling you all the things that you need to know. So there's maybe going to be chunks of information that you might not know. So on the job training, the way that we do it sometimes is not the best because of, if you had a SOP, like a booklet as well, if you had a standard operating procedures, how to open your station, how to, do all these things with that training, that might be helpful because then it's standardized, right? But if you just get some random person, that's not a manager, that's not, just the person that's moving out of that station, training you, sometimes it's that telephone game. They say one thing, maybe they've heard it, and those people usually know the shortcuts, right? They know the ways of, the what I call the shortcuts that we do in the industry sometimes, but that sometimes I don't want people to know the shortcuts. I want them to know how to do it correct the first time instead of doing it kind of the easy way, instead of going the way that we want it to. So sometimes they get trained wrong. So making sure that you train the proper people and those people are training them correctly, and you need to evaluate and reevaluate. Orientation, I think, is very important. Guys, I've worked at multiple jobs that my orientation was, here's your station, go, do it. And you're like, where, okay, where's the walk-in? Where's, you're just what I call baptism by fire. You're just thrown in there and they say, do it. And you don't know how to, I was at a job that I didn't even know. I was sick one day and I didn't know how to call in sick, who to call, whatever else. I mean, that's lack of training right there. That's lack of information. And that made me have anxiety. And then I was nervous that I was gonna, call, because this one of the managers was like, you can't ever call me at home and all of that. And I was opening up, I was a breakfast cook and I was opening up the hotel and I was dog sick. I mean, I was horribly sick, and I had no way, and no one in that hotel didn't train me to know what to do. So in that also is a huge stress on your employees, and that also made breakfast, opening up for breakfast, late because of I didn't know how to get a hold of whoever and all of these things. So the customers suffered in the long run, right? It was me, but the customers and suffered for lack of the training that I got. So make sure that it doesn't hurt the customers. But orientation first day, it really makes people know. I mean, like whenever y'all, like if y'all ever go to on ground, when you were on ground or whatever else, knowing where the bathroom is at the school, where's the bathroom, where's the closest bathroom, where's the printer that you can print stuff, where's the dish pit, all of that, showing you all these orientation things of how to do things, I think is very, very important because it sets your employees up for success, plain and simple, because if not, all you're doing is hurting your business. I mean, yeah, your employees, they might come and go. And if you don't have a orientation or a good training, your retention on retaining your employees is going to be very, very low because you're going to have such a high turnover rate. And during high turnover rates, that's when you're hiring a lot more people, right? And you have a large large group of newbies, what I would call, and they don't know what they're doing, and that causes more problems, and that causes problems with all the seasoned people that are that know what they're doing, that were trained or whatever else, and then you have some non-trained people. No matter what role, orientation is very important. Why orientation? Again, I've kind of discussed this. I will, employee, first of all, happy employees are going to be employees that are going to care about your business. If you have happy employees, and employees that are engaged in work and that are not, that are that know what they're doing, that's going to make a seamless restaurant, a seamless business, a business that is going to be successful and not a unsuccessful business. And like I said, it keeps turnover rate. Turnover rate is, if you've ever been in a business or in a job that you have a huge turnover rate, or you have a bunch of group of individuals that quit at the same time, and you have a bunch of newbies coming in, it is very important to make sure you set them up for success and not failure. And it's your job, and it's you, all of you in your in this class, because what I'm expecting is y'all being the managers, being the bosses, and it's your job and to train these people properly. And when you get in those positions, because if not, you're going to, it's a recipe for failure, plain and simple. How to train employees. Obviously orientation is kind of the main thing, but again, orientation is the very beginning. That's the very first thing, right? And that doesn't also, it doesn't, you need to also retrain, you need to train every day, explain to them why we're doing this. Also, sometimes people, I always say you need to do this, but you need to explain to the individual why we need to do this. Because once they understand why we need to do it, they kind of understand, okay, this is the reason why we need to do it, so I'm going to do it. Instead of just taking blind faith of, Chef Cliff said you got to do it this way, and that's just why. And you don't have any other reason why. You need those reasons, and I think that's very important. But let's see, no matter what position, from line cook to chef, you need to pass along to others, and that's one of the things is I. If you are in a job that you don't have a training manual or a training book, I would suggest you writing it down for yourself and making your own training book, because if not, your brain can only hold and retain so much, and you're going to forget. I mean, look at Cheesecake Factory, right? I mean, they have a huge book of recipes, or a huge book or their menu is huge, right? So making sure that my employees, my kitchen staff knows how to cook every single dish in that menu. It's very important, because if I don't train them, then it hurts me in the long run, plain and simple. It's financial. It's all financial. Making sure you train your staff, this is, your managers, they again, it's all about the almighty dollar. So if you don't train your employees, train your staff properly, things are not, it's going to be in a disarray. Everything's going to, it's anarchy. I mean, it's like whatever. I mean, it's what people want to do. And that's not the case. I want them to do certain tasks in this way. And no matter what, I want it done this way. But I need to explain why I need it done this way. So where they can understand that process. Instead of just saying, well, chef is an idiot. He wants it done this way, and there's like an easier way of doing it. But why does he want this way? If I explain it to him that way, if I explain it to him why I want it that way, then they understand. Poor training methods. Here you go, the magic apron or the magic chef hat. I mean, here you put on a chef's hat, you should be able to cook. You put on a magic apron, you should be able to do whatever it is. Okay, there is no magic apron. There is no magic chef's hat. There is no nothing. if you want your employees to do it correctly, you are your business, your staff, your management, your training staff, whatever it is, needs to be there to train them and to train them properly. That's kind of it. There is no, you can't, uh, get it by osmosis or, by being close to somebody or whatever else. You need that training. Poor training methods, also big brother or big brother, little brother, kind of that shadowing kind of a thing. That's sometimes not the best thing because of, if this guy or this girl, whoever's getting trained, if they were not trained properly to begin with, then we are already starting off with a bad situation because of now that brand new person is starting off trained incorrectly. So that is sometimes kind of not the best way of doing it. But it's sometimes maybe the only way, or that not the only way, but it maybe the easiest way of doing it. It's the cheapest way for sure, and it's the easiest way, but sometimes the cheapest and easiest way is not always the most successful way of doing it, if everybody understands that. Have you ever suffered with bad experience of bad training? Has anybody ever suffered from bad experience of training? And if you haven't, that's amazing, and I'm so happy for you because if you have, you understand the pain and the frustration, the lack of knowledge, and you feel like, why doesn't anybody want to tell me what I need to do? And you feel like you're floundering, and you feel like, you're here and it's like people expect you to know what to do. And that's a new kitchen, a new business, a new whatever. It's all new. And if you expect your employees to know, it's like, assuming. I'm going to assume that well, I'm going to really, if I assume that I'm going to really, I'm going to screw up because my assumptions are usually wrong, and or whatever else. And you need to make sure you really train those people. So we're going to watch this little video.
So you found a good person.
Hold on.
You got to train them. What goes into a great training program? Do you have that? I do. I'm going to give.
Hello, this is David Scott Peters with the restaurantexpert.com, and I understand your challenges, your struggles. I've been there, done that. You brought in what you thought was a great employee, only to have a quitter get fired in 3 months. Right? Frustrating. We get to a point where we don't train, or all right, we grab some bar manager together with some bartenders and a server manager, host manager, somebody who does all this stuff. Quick serve, we have people who are in charge of the registers and the line, whatever it may be. And we all get together and we put together our training system. Then we've got one for the back of house, one for the front of house, the different positions, none of them being the same. Well, you've got to put together one training program for the whole restaurant. This is the reason why chain restaurants are able to duplicate themselves over and over again. They put The program we put together is a job description-based program, not the ones you may have begged, borrowed, and stolen from somebody else. A job description is not just what the job is. It's what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, and more importantly, by when. We need that to hire the right person, select the right person, and train them to what our systems are. Number 2, you need to have training manuals. A training manual. What goes in that manual? Well, there needs to be an agenda, with each day of training, what's going to be covered? The WIIFM, what's in it for me every single day? If I train today, what should I get out of it? What's the benefit to me? What are the tasks? Have that all mapped out. So the next thing is we've got to have tests. Why are tests so important? When does a new hire do damage to your business? When does it cost you money? It's when they hit the floor independently. All too often we whisk them through a training program and they don't know because we didn't test them. Look, if you don't pass day 1 test, you don't go to day 2. If you don't pass day 3 test, you don't go, and so on and so forth, right? Now look, I might go through the 6-day training program in 10 days because management loved my attitude, my smile. Well, if somebody goes through in 6 days, I go through in 10, is that person better than me that went through in 6? The answer is no. We both demonstrated we know what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. It just took me longer. And oh, by the way, we get to day 10 and I'm still not there. You fire me. It says, David, you are not meant to be in the restaurant business, the hospitality industry. I make sure that they don't hit the floor independently and damage my business. 4, evaluations. These are not the 1 to 10 scale. I don't know what the hell that means. Hey, man, I think you're a 6. Dude, I'm so an 8. No. We have a job description, and you either meet, exceed, or do not meet those specific paragraphs.
Is it streaming?
Bullet points on that job description.
Yes.
Last but not least, you have a trainer's guide. You have to tell the trainer exactly the way you want it done. The last thing I want to do is follow what we do in the restaurant business and follow my long-term that way. You've got to tell them what it is. How is training going in your place? What's your favorite training tip or method? Do me a favor, put it in the comments section below. I'd love to learn more. Before you go, if you'd like to know how training systems and other systems you can put in place to change your bottom line, I want you to opt in on this page. I want to give you my free report, the 10 lessons I've learned that every restaurant must know if they have any chance of making money. Opt in now. For a second, I want to remind you something. You selected them, you hired them.
Hey, can you tell the class that I'm going to have to
So
turn
you're
off
calling
my
your
computer
employees
and
an idiot.
restart it? It's showing?
Yes, Chef.
I'm frozen. My Zoom is frozen right now.
Oh.
Oh, so you can hear me? Okay. All right.
But if you want to write
Then-
essays that inspire, messages that forge brighter connections,
Okay.
emails that get the job done, think about more than just
Okay,
grammar and spelling. This
Okay,
sentence
let me,
is
I'm
grammatically
gonna,
correct,
okay, thanks.
but it's wordy and hard to read. It undermines the writer's message. and the
Guys,
words
hold
are
on, I'm
explained.
having technical issues.
Grammarly's cutting-edge technology helps you craft compelling,
Okay, Chef.
writing
Heard.
impact on your reader. Much better. Grammarly works where you work.
Chef called. He's logging back on. He has his restart his computer.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Chef.
All right. So,
Yes.
sorry, I'm
I hear you,
logged
Chef.
in. I just logged in on my phone. For some reason, my computer, I'm going to have to reboot my whole computer. And I apologize for that. All of a sudden, it just, my computer just kind of crapped out on me. So hold on one second. How about if y'all just give me a couple minutes? I'm rebooting my computer right now. All right. So if y'all just kind of hold on, why don't y'all take like come back at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to talk to y'all until around 9:15. Is that okay?
Yes.
Chef.
So y'all come back at 9, and I will be back on my computer in just a second.
No problem, Chef. Technical
All right.
problems
Heard
happen.
that, Chef.
Thanks.
Assembling a team you can trust in your service-based business is tough, but it's the key to scaling past 7 figures and regaining your time freedom. In this video, I want to share with you some keys to break through the
All right, it is 9 o'clock. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, Chef.
Okay, thank you. And guys, sorry for the technical difficulty. Let's see, good training methods. No matter what, good training methods, I would make sure that you, just train your employees that, and retrain, and you need to go check and test them and make sure that they understand all the things that they are supposed to be doing. Even the most seasoned employees, you need to make sure that, you have something written, a training manual, something for them to see. A lot of times now, some training manuals are on phone or digital, so where you can, be able to have it at your home, anything that can help and make your employees better, so where they will in turn make your business better, and make more of a profit. Good training methods, good teamwork, anything that works together, kind of achieving the same goal. I will, do incentive programs, making sure that, if, if they pass this, if they know how to set a table in 5 minutes, or in, make it more of a fun training, try to do something so where, they understand, and just kind of retrain your staff every once in a while, because we get complacent. We get, we just, if no one's watching us, we do slide. People slide a little bit, the quality, the attention, all of that, to certain things. After a while, you get blind to it, right? There might be a piece of garbage on the ground that you walk by 50 times, but if you open up your eyes and look with a little bit more, you will see it. So, the training methods, you've got to look at, I think what we're doing, sitting here for long periods of time, maybe not the best training method. Okay. I think, you getting up, I think, doing team projects, doing collaborations with, with groups and with individuals, I think that's a good training, because you have more of a peer-on-peer kind of a training, but you also have, you do have that trainer kind of making sure that everything is going according to plan and according to what that business wants and what they require. Your employees are their greatest asset, guys. Just like you individual, all of you, y'all are all my greatest asset. Because if I didn't have you guys in this class right now, I wouldn't have a job, right? I would not have a job. You are my, if you weren't here, if I'm not training you properly, then I wouldn't have a job, right? So it's those things of, you are my asset, the customers are my asset, my employees are my asset, and I want to make sure that I build them up, not break them down. And by poor management and poor training, you can break your employees down, and then they will want to, then they're disgruntled, right? And who's been around a disgruntled employee? They're going to do everything in their power not to do the right thing, or they're just going to avoid trying to do the right thing, or just, whatever else. So you need to make sure you set your employees up for success, not failure. Always remember, Micromanaging. Okay, who's ever been micromanaged before? Someone kind of hovering over you, breathing down your neck, always, you feel like you're not, oh, sorry, you're not, whoa, sorry. Not been, not trusted, that your boss thinks they're dumb, that that you can't do it, whatever else. But a lot of times the micromanaging, excuse me, happens because of that you, meaning the manager, did not train your employees properly. So you're having to hover and to micromanage because you didn't give them the skills that they needed to do the job properly. And that is one of the reasons why micromanagement happens. Where I'm always I'm kind of breathing down your neck or whatever else when you're doing a project or whatever else. It's because I don't feel comfortable with you knowing the proper. So, but that's the management's fault, right? That's the business fault because I did not train them properly. So I don't have confidence in them to get it done. Does that make sense? So and it's all because of training. Because if they were trained properly, and if I had the time and the money to train them, then I would have the confidence in them to do what they needed to get done, and that's always so important. Happy employees equals happy customers, guys. I cannot tell you as many days that I've gone into a restaurant or into even a fast food place or any customer service, and it can be, from oil change place to, whatever. If you have a happy employee, it's going to make me as a customer feel a lot better. Someone's greeting me with warm greetings and instead of going, yeah, what do you want? I was trying to, I was getting my daughter's car ready because she was leaving to go off to college yesterday, yesterday or the day before. Anyway, one of those days. But her tire was really low, so I went to a gas station that the air pump wasn't working, so I went. There was an oil change place right beside, close to the house, and so I went over there and I just was like, hey, do you mind filling up? And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And he was the nicest guy. I gave him a tip for filling up the tires and all of that. And he was a happy employee. And it made me feel happy because, he was happy. So, in turn, you've got to realize your employee, the attitude your employees have directly affects the customers of your facility. Let's see. People want to be treated with respect. That's it. Respect. They treat them like humans, man. You don't treat employees like dogs. You don't treat individuals like dogs. Plain and simple. You want, then if you don't want them to be there, get rid of them. But don't treat your employees bad, because they're the ones that are doing the work for you. They're the ones that doing the job. They're the ones that are feeding those customers. They're doing a lot of that hard work. So you don't want to stifle them. You don't want to make them resent working there, resent you, resent the business, hate the business. The worst employee is an employee that just wants to clock in and clock out, that doesn't care, that just wants to get their job, their quote unquote job done and walk out. Because that's not a team player. That's just doing their job. And you need to make sure you support them and you give them the respect that they deserve. You know, someone read this from Richard Branson.
Train people well enough so they can leave. Treat them well enough so they don't want to.
There you go, guys. That is exactly. You want to train them so where they, you know, if you feel like you have trained so much that you know you could probably get a job somewhere else, a better job somewhere else, but you treat them with the respect so they don't want to leave. And that is a true business person right there. No matter what, you know, even if they leave, they're still, you train them properly, you know, but you want to treat them with the respect and give them a good work environment so they don't want to leave. And when they don't want to leave, then you have a loyal employee, a loyal employee. That's amazing. And that's what you need. Let's see, always remember, treat people with, treat your employee, okay. Let's see, the heartbeat of the company. Yeah, like I said, they are the soul, the cog, the thing that keeps it going. I'm the executive chef. Let's say I'm the executive chef. I'm not cooking the food every day. I don't do it. Like that guy said in that video, I did nothing for you. I cooked no food. I didn't give you a menu. I didn't fill your drink up. I didn't do anything for you. It was all my employees. So you need, and that's the one thing, as when you become the boss or the executive chef or the manager, you've got to realize the glory is not on you anymore. You should never take any responsibility for that glory. You always give it to your employees because you need to build them up and to make them know that they did the job. I didn't cook the food. Maybe it's my name on the restaurant, but I didn't cook it. I'm an investor. I'm a chef. I'm the executive chef that gave you all the tools and all of that to get it done. But the heartbeat, the soul of the restaurant is the employees, plain and simple. So good training methods, good program benefits everybody, plain and simple. It benefits the customers, it benefits the investors, it benefits the bank, it benefits anybody that is getting paid by this restaurant. Because if there's poor training and I lose my business, now the bank is not getting their money, all of that sort of stuff, just because of me, because of the lack of training that I gave my employees. And that is very, very crazy that you can lose your business just because you didn't train your employees properly. You could lose your business and in the standards and all of that. Because no matter what, your business has standards. Your business, you want to make sure those individuals hold those standards up for you. And that's why the hiring process and the training process is so, so important. Because I don't care who I hire, but if they're not trained, trained properly, it's going to be a disaster. Training objectives, business goals, training support, and again, I'm beating kind of a dead horse a little bit, but, just making sure that you're trained properly. Training objectives, it should be building a training program. Building a training program, that's like, making sure that, everybody knows, again, what to do, how to do it, all of that. Training adults, training, individuals, you've got to understand how to you want to make sure that they have some written word, they have some video, some action, some just training, so where everybody gets that motivation to get it done. Implementation, you want to implement the training process, make sure you implement it into your staff, and you want to evaluate the program. Make sure that you train properly, because if I see that they're not doing the proper stuff, then I need to go back to my training and reevaluate it and change it and train them again, because they didn't understand it or I didn't explain it to them correctly the first time. Employee feedback. Again, you want to make sure you get the feedback from your employees, because they're the ones are the people that are, we say employees, but the people that are getting trained, they're the ones that are getting trained. If they don't understand it, I need to know that, right? And make sure that they understand it or figure out a way for them to get to understand it. Or like that guy said, if they can't get it, then I'll find someone that can. In that video of let's go ahead and find someone that does. Now, job aids are also helpful. Job aids are like, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, but this is part of the training method of how, has anybody ever seen a picture on how to build you can look up job aids and how to make French press. Coffee French press. You get the French press, you put in the coffee into the thing, and it's pictures of how to do step by step on how to do things. Those are job aids, things to help, like how to wash your hands. I mean, we've seen this a lot now, especially with COVID, of how to wash your hands properly, how long you do. And it's a picture of someone hand washing and all of that. Those are job aids. Here, putting away, certain things, how to get rid of, dirty needles or dirty, things, whatever, sharp objects or what, it shows a step by step, but it's a picture. It's pictures. Why do we have pictures? Because pictures speak louder than words. In pictures, you don't need to know the language. Does that make sense? You don't need to know the language if you have a picture. So for anybody that does not know that English is not their first language, or Spanish is not their first language, or German, or whatever language you are in, there's pictures that show, so they don't need to know the language. They just follow the pictures. How to build a hamburger properly. This, and the way that I want my employees to build a hamburger. So those are great ways of getting people to understand a job aid. Here's a great example of a job aid right here. This picture of raw meat, raw fish, raw meat, cooked meats, salad, fruit, vegetables, and dairy products. That tells you exactly what you need, what kind of cutting board, and though I think the best would be, instead of this, or you could have the written word, but have a piece of steak, like a picture of a steak, a picture of a fish, a picture of maybe cooked meat with steam coming up, maybe a couple of salad, fruit or salad. So where the people that don't speak, that can't read this or don't know to read English, they can at least see a picture of a fish or of a piece of a raw meat, and they go, oh, that's beef, or that's this, or that's that. So you don't have to have it. Any questions about today and about I went through a lot. SOPs, standard operating procedures. We talked about training, why training is so important, and the reason why training is important, because it directly affects your bottom line, your money, your customers, because if they're not trained properly, the customers will not be coming back. If you have rude or dirty dishes and the fryer wasn't cleaned properly, so so it tastes like fish. My donuts taste like fish. Well, because we just fried fish in the same fryer as the donuts, but it wasn't cleaned properly. So where then so that means I didn't train my employees to understand that, you know, you've got to have, you know, got to clean that fryer really well. So it's those things that really affect affect the outcome of your business. Let's see. So what I want from you for Monday, and that was by Monday, I need a 5 to 10 year kind of a a list of what you want to do in the next 5 to 10 years in this industry or not in this industry. You know, I have people that you know, are going into the culinary industry and then are going into culinary school. I knew a guy that went to culinary school just to learn the ins and outs because their family was in the restaurant industry. But then he went to law school and he advertises himself as a restaurant lawyer. I'm a chef that has knows all the ins and outs of the restaurant. So please let me be your lawyer. And that guy is got so much business because I mean, we all in restaurants need lawyers, no matter what, at least a lawyer on retainer because of a slip and fall, chokes, you know, foodborne illnesses, any of that sort of stuff. You always need a lawyer on retainer. And I would much rather have a lawyer that knows the restaurant industry than a lawyer that doesn't, because they understand about there might be fish bones. Someone might ingest a fish bone or a little rock in the beans or something like that understands the industry. So if you don't want to be in this industry, that's totally fine. What I want is just an idea of what you want to do. So where you have a clear path, an idea in your head, so where you can start getting you to that point. That's one thing I need. And the other thing I need is you to, and I did not write this down, but and I will try to email this to you today, but I need you to come up with a kind of a cuisine or a business that you want and or business that you would like to run, like a restaurant or a pastry place or a food truck or whatever else. I want you to think of a place, but I want you to think of what kind of items you want on that menu. And I want you to brainstorm and I want you to write down 20 items. Just brainstorm and you can just kind of, all right, I want cheesecake. I want, I don't know, what, cream puffs or whatever. Or I want a steak. I want this, that, the other. Write down items that you would want to see on a menu in your restaurant, in a restaurant that you want to build or make, hypothetically. So I want 20 items written down, so where then you can narrow it down to 8, because all you need, or I'm sorry, I think you need 9 or 10 items. But I want you to be able to have an idea and be able to kind of think about it. And that is what I need for Monday. I need you to write down, think about what kind of restaurant you want or what kind of business you're going to be running. It needs to be a food business. That's the only caveat of it's got to be a food business. It cannot be a bar. I mean, you can cost out, and eventually we're going to be costing out recipes, but you can maybe have a beverage or two on your menu. But I'm looking for I'm trying to get you to cost out recipes, and this is something that you're going to be doing. And so just come up with some ideas. Does anybody have any questions about what I just said?
I have a
Anybody?
question, Chef.
Yes, of course.
Where exactly are we turning this in? Like, are we turning this in on the
You're
portal?
gonna no, okay, so for that 5 to 10 year, you're gonna create a Google Doc, or you're gonna just get onto Google Docs and just type it up and just share it with me. Share it to my email address, and so where I can see it, and then for the for your items that you are going to be coming up with, also, I would like that shared as well. So you can type it up into a Google Doc and just share that document with me. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Chef. Thank you very
Right.
much.
And if you don't have access to like Google Docs or whatever else, or you're using, I don't know, like Windows or what is it, what's the window-based one? Is that Microsoft or whatever the Windows-based one is?
Word?
Or yeah, thank you, Word. I'm not used to using it anymore, so. But if you want to do it in Word, that's fine. You just got to email it to me. But I like the sharing process because I can add notes or add comments to it, and it's kind of real time, so you can see it, and it's it saves onto your Google Drive as well.
Chef?
But yes.
I'm sorry. I just want to let the class know this, just in case anyone's like more comfortable with Word. You can actually start out on Word and transfer that to the drive in Google Docs.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, just in case people are like, they want to work offline at first, and then they can transfer it to the drive.
That would be awesome.
Because that's usually what I do.
That would be great. Just because it's just easier for me, because I usually put all the, in a class. Like I have a drive that I, okay, this is all the stuff for this class. So where if you, like, for example, last block, Chef Lindsay was teaching another class, and she asked, hey, do you have this guy's project? He can't find it. And I was able to find that project and send it to her, and he was able to get it. So, if you share it with me, I can always, I save everything to the cloud, and I keep everything. So, but thank you guys. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, be careful. It's supposed to get really cold on Sunday. And if you're, it's maybe snow, rain mix. So please be very careful on that. And I hope y'all have a wonderful and safe weekend. All right.
Thank you, Chef. You too.
Bye, guys. Y'all
Stay
have a great
safe,
day.
Chef. You too.
Have a great weekend, Chef.
Hey, you as well. Thank y'all.